Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of CVtv Workshops. My name is Carlos, and today I have my co-host here, David Dawkin. How are you, Dave?
All right, Carlos, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How's the weather down there?
So we got a little cool front coming through, so it's going to be it's real chilly for you. I know, about mid 60s tomorrow.
Oh my
So,
God. It is snowing right now here in
oh my
Chicago.
God.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was snowing a little bit earlier today, and yeah, it's been a little cold. Not too bad, but
that's
it's
good.
but it's been cold. Yeah.
You
So
you coming south here pretty soon. It's in
yeah.
August, so you get you warmed up a bit.
I know exactly. I'll be there. What, in a couple of weeks? But
Yeah,
about a week after next, I'll be down there. We'll probably doing some workshops live from New
absolutely.
Orleans, which that'll be fun.
Yep.
That'll be fun. All right, so everybody, welcome to the CTV workshop. I want to say hello to Melanie Simpson. Jonathan is here. David Hawkins is here too. Joy Savoy is here. Connor is here too as well. Donald Mark Henry, oh my God, and Brian Buckley here too as well. So this is actually a lot of fun. It's great to see a lot of people here. If you like the show, please hit the subscribe button. If you just stumbled upon this show right now and it's about reef tanks, and this is, you're at home, probably low day, something slow, nothing on TV because it's the time of day. Just hit the subscribe button, and next time we're live, you're going to be notified. So, Dave, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're talking about ATOs, or automatic top-off system. And
Wait a minute.
people may have started, so we did this already. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we covered this already. So why are we doing ATOs again?
Well, we calling this show 2.0, ATO
Okay.
2.0.
Okay.
So
All right.
we, that it's such a popular topic, and one that we get so many questions on in terms of, what are my options with hydros in terms of what can it do with an automatic top off system. And so we want people to see what it can do. And you're not just married to the hydros kit that we do offer, which is a very robust ATO kit, and it does very well. But we want to try and show you some other things that you can also do. Because as we know, Carlos, everybody's got a different system. Everybody's got a different application, or what they want to do something different. So we want to try and show you what all hydros can offer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's see. I can think of several applications. I mean, it's like I know I've heard from dealing with support and talking to people as they're asking me, it's like, well, why does hydros not include a second sensor? So we will cover that as well. So we will cover that. That's one thing that we'll cover. Another thing that I've heard is like, it's like I have my own pump. Can I use my own pump? Do I have to use the little hydros ATO pump? And it's like, no, you can use your own pump as well, right? You
Absolutely.
can do that. And some people have even asked, it's like, can I use a doser to do that? Which I never thought about it until we were having, our pre-show, and then it's like there are several reasons why I would use a dosing pump, and we'll talk about those too as well, because it was like a boom, a light bulb.
Yeah, light bulb. Huh?
I know exactly, and that's the great thing about it is, Dave, you and I have probably over 40 years of experience here, and a light bulb went on about 15 minutes ago for me.
That's fine.
Which is awesome because that's great. That's always learning. Put that in my bag of ammunition, and next time I need it, I can just reach down there and pull it out and use it, which is great.
Yep.
So let's talk about what for those people that missed the first show, which if you missed the first show, just head on over to YouTube. And then all our workshops are there. You can do a search for ATO and you'll get the first show. But if we'll give you a recap in here. Yep. What is an ATO? What does ATO mean to begin with?
Yeah, auto top off. So you want to replenish evaporated water into your aquarium. So we, that's one of the struggles, I guess, in the hobby is you're evaporating water. And you need to replenish that. If you don't replenish it, then you're looking at fluctuating salinity levels. And
all right. So let me ask you a question. This might seem like a very simple question, might seem like an obvious question, but can I use salt water to replenish, or do I have to use fresh water?
You want to use fresh water because that the salt is going to stay in the system. So it's strictly a fresh water top off.
Okay, so if I use salt water,
for marine aquariums.
Yeah. So if I use salt water, what happens?
That's so his salinity is going to keep going up.
Okay. All right.
And,
So that makes sense. I mean, this is the kind of things that we take for granted.
yeah.
But a complete beginner probably, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. So salt does not evaporate.
Right.
So water evaporates, and as water evaporates, the water becomes saltier because the salt content, less water, same amount of salt becomes more concentrated. If you keep adding salt water, then you're just increasing the salinity. Yes, you're increasing the water level, but also salinity. So what you want to do is always add fresh water, so your salinity goes back to the way it was before, normal. So
and
that's
we want to say we recommend RODI water for that top.
Yes. And Connor Sloan has a comment right now. Evaporation occurs faster in the winter. Yes. It depends on where you are, because I'm sure, Dave, in your winters, evaporation slows down.
Yeah.
During the summer, it goes up because of your AC. While for us, during the winter time, our evaporation goes up big time because our furnace is running, and we usually have dehumidifiers running as well. So the dehumidifier is pulling the water out of the tank in reality. So it depends on what part of the country you are.
Okay.
But that's how it works too. So ATO, technically what it is, Dave, is it's a container with fresh water, and then on your sump or your tank, you have a sensor that built to the side.
Yeah.
To the side, and as water touches the sensor, then everything is okay. As soon as water drops below the sensor, then the sensor becomes dry, telling the controller to turn on the pump in the freshwater reservoir and push water. And I wish April would be showing some pictures on how that works on the screen. If you could put some pictures on that, April, that would be really helpful. Let's see. I mean, perfect. That's it. Thank you. So that's how you do it. And your water source could be a regular water reservoir, like picture number 9, or it could be also, April, can you put picture number 9 on? Thank you. Okay. So that's a regular water reservoir. All right. That is the most simple of all the setups. Okay. But the hydro system also allows you to get a little more creative. And maybe, filling the reservoir every day is a pain in the butt. Running around with a 5-gallon bucket to refill the reservoir, it's a pain in the butt. And you're going on vacation, and it's not going to be it's going to be a problem. So at that point, you know what? Can I hook up my RODI system, my water filtration unit? Can I hook up my water filtration directly to the water reservoir to refill it, and then push from that water reservoir to the tank? And that's how you do it, which is great. Because what are the safeties of this, Dave? Why would you have this system instead of just hooking up the RODI directly to the tank, to the water, to your tank?
Well, you run the risk of that running dry on you, whereas with a RO hookup like this, you have that constant water source for your ATO. You don't have to worry about that being replenished.
Exactly. And the other thing that I say is that if by some chance that RODI stays on, then all that fresh water is going directly into your tank, which is what you don't want. By having a middle reservoir, that just adds another level of safety to make sure that the water, the RODI unit doesn't keep going on and on and on, and then your salinity goes so low because you're adding too much fresh water. So I personally run my system this way on picture number 8. But you can also do the RODI unit directly into the tank, and that one is a way to do it. I personally would not do it, but I know of several people that do it without any problems, So I think on that setup where you have the RODI directly to your tank, I would recommend having a second sensor
Correct.
just in case.
A high level sensor, huh?
Yeah, a high level sensor. What do you think? I mean, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
If you're going to do it right,
exactly.
in my opinion. In my opinion. All right. So the ATO comes with a tiny little sensor, and the sensor is not that big. We're not talking about a big, size of a golf ball thing. It's just
No,
a
it's like
tiny
about
little
the
sensor.
size of a quarter, I think, huh?
It's the size of a nickel or a dime, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, so April, can you? Thank you.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, half-inch diameter, so it's
Okay.
a little tiny sensor.
And one thing that I want to clarify is I had somebody in support actually reach out to us. The magnet goes on the outside of the tank,
Correct.
and the wired part goes on the inside of the tank.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
all encapsulated, so it's
yes,
waterproof.
it's waterproof. And and again, Dave, that was one thing that again, 40 years of experience between the two of us, and I never that even crossed my mind. And I'm looking at this and like, I can see how somebody would do that. And it's like, so let's clarify it.
Yeah.
With a water sensor, the magnet, if you look at it, if you just pick up the magnet, it's just a magnet. And the other one, you can actually see the circuit and the board and everything is sealed. So put the circuit inside the water section on the water wet side, as we call it, and the magnet goes on the dry side. Otherwise, it won't work. It's not going to work.
Correct.
All right. The other option you can do is actually a float sensor too, and that's what we're going to talk about. And it's just a tiny little float sensor. And there you go. Dave has one. I mean, and I'm going to have April put the picture on the board, on the screen as well. Okay. And it's a little sensor in there. And I love those little things. Call me old school. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the optical one, but I always like to have one of those little float switch sensors in there. Usually the top one where it doesn't get wet, it doesn't get dirty, but it's always standing by clean and ready to be triggered if it has to. What do you think?
Yeah, there's some argument, these reed float switches, they are a mechanical switch. So, it's that concern of, you want to make sure it's not in a very turbid or high bouncy area in your sump where the float's doing this number, because it's just a contact on off, and that could be a problem. But, if you got it in a low flow area where it's calm, these have been around for years. They're very reliable. So they do.
Yeah, and you know what? With the hydros, you can actually do software tweaks to make sure that the pump doesn't turn on and off, because that'll just kill the pump. I mean, that will probably last like 24 hours, and after that, you're gonna have to get a new one.
Right.
So okay, well, everybody, again, we are watching Coral View Workshops, and we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. If you like the show, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, and then just you'll be notified right away when we get a new show. So I want to say hello to Connor again, Mauro Gonzalez. The key is stability in the system. Absolutely. He's also from Monterrey. Mexico. I wish I was in Mexico today. One of these days I'll go back down there. It's so good. I love that place. Reefing Izzy is in Florida too. I'm enjoying the weather. I hope everything is fine down there. You guys are enjoying it. Good water, good weather. Sitting outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eating al fresco. Oh, I can't. I won't see that for another 6-7 months. All right. So, adding a second sensor, Dave.
Yeah.
Why would you add a second sensor, and why are people asking me for a second sensor? What's the big deal?
I think the biggest reason for a second sensor is your high level, and perhaps if a pump or something fails, you want a high level notification. Why is the sump level raising when it should be at X level? Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, I think off the top of my head is.
Another reason that I can think of is like, everything that can fail will.
Yeah.
If there's a controller company out there that's telling you that things are never going to fail, they are lying to you. I mean, they are blatantly lying to you. Everything that can fail will fail. Will fail. So
it's usually at the worst times too.
Yes, exactly. It's on a Friday night when
Yeah.
everything is closed and I'm ready to hop on a plane and go down to New Orleans. That's when it happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, what happens if the little sensor, the everyday sensor goes bad and it tells the controller that the sensor is dry, even though it's underwater? The pump is going to keep going and it's going
Right.
to keep pushing water and water, 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 water. It's never going to stop.
Yeah.
So we want to have a sensor at the top, something that if it's triggered, it's like, okay, stop everything
Yeah.
and let me know, because water should never, ever be this high, So
It's a
that's,
fail
to
safe.
me is one of the biggest things that I have. And I've noticed it with a couple of things. And you know what? People will say my sensors never go bad, or I have the float switch sensor, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many times I've heard problems with siphoning, where they put the hoses in correctly and the pump starts
Yeah.
and then the
And
pump
then
stops, but the water keeps flowing because it forms a siphon. Let me make this clear, guys. The pump can start the flow, but it will not stop the flow.
yeah.
It's almost
Well,
like dry. Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, and if you look at our the ATO, the Hydros ATO unit, we do include an anti-siphon valve with our kit. So
Yes,
something that you definitely want to have installed. But if you're not
absolutely.
purchasing our kit, you need to keep in account for this anti-siphon.
Yeah,
Sometimes
and
they break it.
and I'm gonna have April go back to picture number 9, please. And that actually has a pretty damn good spot in there, right in dead center middle. You can see April. Okay, thank you. You see right
Yeah.
there, right above the micro DC pump on the right hand side, there's a little adapter. Notice how that adapter is inside the water, the reservoir. I've
Yeah.
had people in support contact me and they have that adapter somewhere in between the tank and the reservoir. And you see how that adapter can drip water? If you put it between the two, it'll go into your floors, your hardwood floors, and your significant other will just listen. It won't be pretty.
Yeah.
So put it inside. But at the same time, Dave, there's absolutely no substitute to just doing it right. Putting making sure that the line doesn't touch water, so
Mhm.
that the laws of physics, never fail.
Right.
The laws of physics never fail. If the hose is high enough, when the water stops, it'll
It'll
pull
break it.
air and it'll
Mhm.
break the siphon. But
Yeah.
if you put that tip of the hose on the tank side underwater, as soon as the pump stops, that
Mhm.
there's no air that can
Yeah.
come in and break the siphon, so water will start to go back the other way around. So just grab that tip and put it above the water, and
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you need to do. That is
Yeah.
it. Laws of physics don't fail. At least not yet. All
Right.
right. Okay. So that's one thing that I want to do. So that's the second port. So, as we get more into um, uh, more complicated systems,
Yeah.
where you need bigger tanks, or you have pumps, you had it and all of a sudden the pump fails on a Friday night on your
Mhm.
way out, and
Yeah.
now you have to scramble for a new pump. I have to get a new pump, and obviously everything is closed and I can't use that, and I don't have a pump. Can we use a different pump on the ATO?
Absolutely. We can use any pump. Really, you want to plug a AC pump into your outlet strip. We can control that via an ATO setup as well.
Exactly. So the hydro system can actually tell it where the pump is.
Hmm.
The hydros does not care what pump you're running. So you could be running the ATO pump from the drive port, and I'm going to have April show that ATO pump. So it'll be picture number, I'm sorry, it'll be picture number 1, picture number 1 or picture number 2, either one. Okay. So you see that ATO showing right there, the pump, or you can use a different pump. Heck, you can use a dosing pump, if you wanted to, and I'm going to have April show picture number 4. All right.
There
There's
you go.
picture number 4. So you know what, Dave, your pump went bad. You're on a way to a trade show, and all you got laying around is a Hydros dosing pump. You you
And
know what? You
yeah,
grab that thing and you put it in there. You tell the Hydros, okay, I'm connecting my dosing pump to drive port number 2. Done. It's set up.
I like this setup too. Just there's no pump in the water. You know, you're
Yeah.
actually with a dosing pump. You're drawing water from your reservoir to your tank. So
Yes.
for a small nano tank or a very small tank, it's a nice application.
And the beauty about this, and we were talking about this at the beginning before the show started, is the biggest benefit for me is that it there's no siphon.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
possibility of a siphon because the dosing pump it doesn't allow for siphon. You can't siphon the water out, which is perfect. So if you have like a little 20-gallon tank, you want to make sure that you don't get that siphon, and you may not have that much space because the back of the tank the water is already high in the back of the tank. So having a dosing pump is just a perfect solution for me.
But it's not only that too, Carlos. A lot of these little pumps don't have the head pressure. If you would, you think about how to position from your reservoir to the height of your tank. It may not be able to get the head up high enough, whereas this application will work.
And the next thing about it is that those pumps use a hose. The diameter of the hose is a little bit bigger. If you use a dosing pump, you got this tiny little thing that's going in there, and it hides perfectly. I mean, for a nano tank or a small, it's just perfect. I never thought about it, which is kind of cool.
These AOI all-in-one aquariums now are really popular. So that is a nice setup with that dosing pump.
You can tuck that line in, hide it very easily, and you're all set to go, which is fantastic. I think it's a great setup, and I think it's something that I will start recommending from now on. And those pumps, the little Hydros pumps are relatively inexpensive as well.
Yeah, $59.99, I think, retail, and you're good to go. Just buy it.
Exactly. So, which is great. Yeah. All right. So, again, you're watching Coral View Workshops. Today we are talking about ATOs, and we're going into more detail, and I know that we haven't touched about the basics of ATO because we've done a workshop on that. So if you want to watch that workshop, just head on over to our YouTube channel and do a search for ATO workshop, and it'll come right up. So that's a great way. It's about 30 to 45 minutes. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of great information there, and it complements this show that we're doing. All right. So please just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up, and you'll be notified right away whenever we start a new show. So I want to say hello to Danny Evers is right here. Krabopoulos is here, our previous winner. Mike Neal is here as well. It's great to see everybody. Thank you coming, for watching and joining us. So on our next section, we're going to talk about literally actually programming an ATO and adding a second sensor to the system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Show you some different ways to set it up.
Absolutely, and we'll see how simple it is. But before we do that, here's a word for one of our sponsors. Everybody, welcome back. This is Carlos from Coral View, along with Coral View's owner, David Akin, my co-host, and we are having Coral View workshops here, and we're talking about ATOs. I'm telling you, Dave, those commercials are getting better and better every time.
April's pretty good with that, huh?
I know, but I do want to know what's the name of the little Chihuahua white dog. That was he was
Yeah.
awfully cute. You know, the little guy was cute. You know, I kind of like him. I like the small dog, the little Chihuahua dog. You know, I've always had that. That and boxers. I love boxers. Boxers are like, oh, my favorite dog. Not that, you know, all the other dogs. I love all dogs, but boxers
Yeah.
have a sweet spot in my heart right now. All right, so let's talk about how to program that. But before we do that, we have people from Trinidad and Tobago. Also, I have Michael saying hello to Michael, and Chaz is as well here. Frankie is here too, and Sawyer is here. My God, we got a lot of people today. This is actually kind of fun. You know, ATO, it gets people. I mean, it's like it's such a simple. We assume it's such a simple concept, but you know, it actually a lot of people have a lot of questions about it.
Absolutely. It's just, like I say, it's so many different ways to set it up and different applications or systems that require ATO and how you can do it. And there's a lot of ways you can perform ATO with hydros.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and have April, you know, start up my Corelview Hydros screen here, you know, and there you go. That's it. So as always, my little handy dandy Corelview little controller here, always ready to step up and help us out. So
Yep.
the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have April. Before we do this, let me have April show the ATO camera so everybody can see the setup. And April, oh, okay. She says it's black. Okay, you know, we having some technical difficulties right here, guys. Let's see. Okay, will it work now? All right. All right. So I have a little. Oh, it fell. Have a little camera right here, hoping that everything works correctly. All right, April, whenever you're ready. All right, there you go. So I have my little ATO right here, and a little setup is just my little beta tank. I think it's an overkill with a you know, ATO. But as we talked about it, I have this little sensor right here. Sensor is right here, so you can see. I'm gonna put that. Tap that
Sensor
right
on each
here.
side.
That is my little water sensor. That's going to
Yep.
tell as water touches this sensor right here, it's going to tell the hydros that this is sensor is wet, and when it's wet, everything is correct. As the water evaporates and it drops, then this sensor is going to become dry, and when it becomes dry, then it's going to tell my pump on a reservoir right next to you can't see right now to pump water into the tank until the water goes up to the sensor. You know,
Mhm.
which is kind of cool. And then I added the second sensor right here. Look at this little flow switch right here. Everybody sees that? You know, and I put it high. So what it does is I have this sensor here at the top, and the water should stop here. But if by some reason this sensor becomes dirty and the water keeps going, before it overflows my little beta tank, what is going to happen is the float sensor is going to go up, and as soon as the float sensor goes up, it's going to trigger an alarm and it's going to stop the ATO from running. That's exactly what we're going to do. You know, simple, but you know, it's the most secure way of doing it without, you know, breaking the bank
Mhm.
and having that, you know, a combination of new technology and the good old reliable one, you know, so
Mhm.
that you get the best of both. Okay, so let me go ahead and start this. Let's go ahead and get my hydros controller here. Perfect. And she's got it. Let me have April share my screen again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create an input. So add an input, hit the plus symbol, and then I'm going to go ahead and type sump level. All right, and click create. It's going to be a sense port along with, it's going to be a water level. and it's on sense port number 1, green. And then I'm go ahead and upload the changes as Dave holds his breath again. As always, there's a change. So now I have, if I go in my status screen, I have a sensor right here that is dry. And again, if you look at the screen, if you look at the shared screen right here, you can tell that, again, I haven't turned this on. So as far as right now, the sensor is dry. All right. So let me go ahead and now let's go ahead and add the pump. So I'm going to add outputs, add pump, hit the plus symbol, call it pump, hit create, and then I'm going to make it a ATO. I'm going to use the sump level as the water level sensor, output device. Let's do drive port 1. All right. Now, Dave, here is where you can tell the hydros what pump to use.
Correct.
Okay. So here I can have my ATO pump on drive port, but you know what? In emergency, I have to put in a dosing pump. So I use the hydros dosing pump. I'll just put it on drive port 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I wanted to have an AC pump, then I would add a Wi-Fi strip. And as soon as I add Wi-Fi strip, I would get 4 additional outlets here. It would be Wi-Fi outlet 1, Wi-Fi outlet 2. So I just select that. So the Hydros controller, it's an ATO. The Hydros controller just says, just tell me what pump and where the pump is, and I'll use that.
Right.
I'm
So
not going to give you a hard
somebody
time.
asking for a big return pump or something, a large tank.
Exactly. So
They
then
want to
just
get an AC pump.
yeah, just put an AC pump, put it on the Wi-Fi strip, or put it on the upcoming XP8 that we're getting. So it's going to be XP8 AC outlet 1, 2, 3. You connect there, and that's it. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty about the hydros. You know what? We're not that controller that is going to not let you use a dosing pump, because dosing pumps are for something else.
Right.
We're not that controller that is not going to let you use, your own pump, because we have to use a module that we sold you with a pump that we want you to use.
Right.
We already did that. We can sell you an ATO kit with a pump that we want you to use. But you know what? If you have a pump laying around,
Exactly.
you should be able to use it.
Everybody's
It's a
got
perfectly good pump.
around. Exactly.
Let's stop wasting. Let's use that. Okay. So let me go back in here, and I'm going to tell it drive port 1, and then I'm just going to go ahead and upload changes.
Yep.
So as soon as I do that, here, you can see the status. It says dry, but look at my pump. It's actually on. And if April goes back to shares my other screen, so do a split screen between April, it's kind of small. Can you just make it 2 screens? Okay, so I think we're having some technical difficulties here. April is okay. Some difficulties right here. So okay, so we have the screen here. You can see on the screen the water is already at a good level. All right. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and show you. Okay, April, can you take my make the thank you. All right. So you can see right here, the water is slowly dropping. I've kind of created an evaporation system right here where the water is slowly going down, So everything is going down right here. And as soon as it hits the bottom of the sensor, look, it just turned on. And as soon as it hits the top of the sensor, it stopped. And it goes back again down. Obviously, we have it here. It's happening in a matter of few seconds, but on a regular system, it probably happens over a matter of hours. So slowly, as the water evaporates, it keeps going down. As you can see, it's already lower and lower and lower. As soon as it hits the bottom of the sensor, it'll put the sensor dry. So what I want, April, is can you go ahead and put my controller screen back on, please? All right. So we have that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add the second sensor. so that if the second sensor becomes wet, then it's going to stop everything. All right, so let me go back to outputs and make it ATO. All right, so Dave, I have a problem here. I can't add a second level sensor. It's
Right.
not letting me. It's not letting me. There's actually an easy way of doing that. Okay, so before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and add the second sensor. So here, add an input. Click this, input name, sump high. Create. I'm going to make it a sense port. I'm going to make it a water level sensor on sense port number 2. In notification, I'm going to make it red. Now, alert when dry. Okay, so Dave, let's think about this. On the high level sensor, what's the normal status?
Dry.
Okay, so I don't want the alert to be when it's dry. I want the alert to be wet.
Wet.
So alert when dry is disabled. Exactly, because if the alert is not when it's dry, that means it's when it's wet. If the alert is when dry, that means it's not wet. So you see, it's one of the opposite. It's one or the other. So let me go ahead and upload my changes here. So, and I know you can do all these changes without uploading, but I kind of like it. Okay, so we have that right there. We have a sump level sensor that is wet and a sump high level sensor that is dry. And if I were to manually raise or pull up the little the little wet sensor, take a look at that right there. See? It's saying wet. And as you can hear, my beeping. There you go. So I'm going to drop the sensor back down, and that's going to make it stop the beeping. All right, just takes a few seconds to catch up. There you go. All right. So now what I need to do, Dave, is we need to go ahead and tie this output, this pump, so that it uses this sensor. So let's go back in here. All right. I still can't, I sample high, but then I lose my sump level sensor, so I can't add that first sensor. The beauty about the hydro system is that it lets you grab an output and change it to something else. This is something that most other controllers don't let you do that. If you want to change the output on another controller, you're going to have to create a new output. You can't just switch an output to something different, to a different location. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ATO, and I'm going to call it what we do a generic. And the reason why I'm doing a generic is because I can add more than one input, which is the beauty of it, because I need 2 inputs. So the first input is my regular ATO. So let me go ahead and add sump level. So right here, this generic output is going to be active. It's going to be on when the sump level is dry. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So if the sump level is dry, then go ahead and turn the pump on to push water to the tank. If the sump level is wet, then obviously don't make it active.
Yep.
All right. Now I want to add the second input. So let's go ahead and just add a second input. And look at this, input number 2.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and click on it, and I'm going to do some high. Okay, so I want this output to be active, this pump to turn on when my sump level is dry, and I want the sump level, the sump high to be dry as well.
Yeah.
Correct? If the sump is hot, if the sump high is wet, then there's too much water, turn off the pump.
Right.
All right. Now, here's that relationship. Do we want it to be if sump level is dry or sump level is dry? Or do you want it to be sump level is dry and sump high is dry? We want and.
Yeah, and.
We want and. We want both things to be true in order for this output to be on. So and means both have to be true. So both have to be dry in order for the pump to turn on. Or would mean either one has to be true or dry in order to turn on, which is not what we want. So, okay, dry port, everything remains the same. Let's go ahead and do upload changes. And there you go. So let's go back to our status. And you have wet and dry. As the water is evaporating, you'll see in just a few seconds right now, it's going to go ahead and evaporate, and then it's going to turn on. There, the sensor is dry. It turned the pump on, and this is going to happen because the pump is on because both are dry. Both were dry. As soon as one of them turns wet, then the pump will turn off. All right. So here's what I'm going to do now: is I'm going to go ahead and fake there's too much water in the system. So I'm going to do that. As soon as there's too much water in the system, look at that. The sump high went high and the controller started beeping. Now notice the sump level. Even when the sump level turns dry, look at the pump. The pump is not turning on. Why? Because this sump high overrides everything. As soon as I drop this myself manually, then it's going to stop. It's going to say dry, and the pump turns on. Obviously, in a real live example, you would never have this dry and this wet,
Right.
Unless the sensor is gone bad.
Yeah.
If the sensor's gone bad and dry and says dry, then this sensor will kick in and stop everything. That's the great thing about it. So that's why you need a second sensor in there. How did I do the second sensor? I just plugged it into a leak detector adapter. It uses, and I'm going to have here, it uses a little 3.5 millimeter jack. Look at that right there. And I just plugged them in together. Okay. The beauty about it, Dave, is that the little float sensor, this little float sensor right here, is a 2-wire float sensor. So I was able to just splice them together myself and create my own adapter. And we're going to talk about that a little bit late. We're going to talk about it in a different workshop.
Yeah.
But you can splice it together and put it on a sense board, or you can actually, connect it to a breakout box.
Yep.
Okay. So if you connect it to a breakout box, then it makes it a lot better. I'm going to have April show picture number 3. There you go. There's a breakout box right there.
Yep.
There's a little breakout box that I can use, and that will allow me to connect the sensor to a 0 to 10 volt port in, and then be able to use it, for that matter as well. So it actually makes it, and we're going to talk about this on a different workshop, which is going to be good. And we're going to do a workshop on DIY breakout boxes and button boxes, because everybody's asking about those button boxes, and let's go ahead and show how to do it. But that's pretty much how you use the hydros you've created. So we've created a very simple system in here that has 2 sensors, literally, So the hydros can do 2 sensors if you want to, or you can do 1 sensor if you don't want it to. It's up to you. Now the one thing that we can do in here that I would recommend is go into your output and go to enable advanced settings, and let's turn that on. And now here you have minimum time, minimum off time, maximum off time, and what does that mean? Okay. Remember how Dave, you mentioned that, if you have in a location where the water goes up and down, up and down, up and down, it would cause the pump to turn on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off all the time. And it would kill the pump. So in this case right here, this is where software helps. You can actually tell the pump, okay, you have to be off for a minimum of X amount of time. So in this case, let's make this, I need this pump to be off for a minimum of 10 seconds. So if it turns on and it turns off and then it turns back on, it's not going to do it quickly. It's going to wait 10 seconds before it turns back on. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. And then another thing that I would say is minimum on time. You'd also, just like you don't want anything to turn on, turn off, and turn on back again, you don't want something to turn on and then off again, immediately. So in that case, let's make this one minimum on time. I'm going to make it like, let's make it like 3 seconds right now, just for our purposes right now, because this is small. I have a beta fish tank. And then maximum on time. This is a great feature, guys. And this is something that I use all the time. this will tell you, will only run the pump for a certain amount of time. And after that, regardless of what the status of the sensor is, you can choose not to run the pump or continue to run the pump and let you know. So in this case, it's my beta fish. There's no reason this pump should run more than 30 seconds. If it runs more than 30 seconds, I'm going to overflow my tank. So let me make it 15 seconds. And there you go. And that's it. Let me make sure that run past max on time is off, because I don't want this to keep going past 15 seconds. But I do want the alarm to continue to go red. You know, red, tell me. So if it runs more than 15 seconds, then let me know. Or, you know, orange, whatever it is. And we just go ahead and click OK. Upload the changes. And there you go. And it's all done. So now the pump will run for a minimum of, you know, I think it was 3 seconds or so, and then it will automatically shut off. You know, and if you can see the camera, I think you can still see our camera there. You can see how it's still running up and down in my little beta fishbowl. You know, where Leroy goes and lives.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago, man. Gotta call the, you know, you gotta call the beta fish Leroy. It's
right.
It's a given, you know. Leroy Brown. All right. So
Carlos,
what do you think?
Looking at some of the features, you know, that you just showed, it may seem simple on here, but those are really some advanced features that would, you know, with other controllers out there, if I, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, that would require a great deal of time and coding in order to set those features up. Is that correct?
Yeah, especially, I mean, minimum time off, maximum time on, maximum time off. That, you know, those are lines of code that, unfortunately, on most of the other controllers, there's no easy way to do it. You either have to know how to write the code, or you have to Google it, find somebody that's done it, and copy and paste. You know, which makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, you shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to write code to put a minimum on or a minimum off time. You know,
right.
So and some of the other controllers, let me be clear about this. Some of the other controllers give you that WYSIWYG, but as soon as you upload, and then you want to go back 6 months from now and change things around, that WYSIWYG is gone. All you see is code, because that WYSIWYG turns everything into raw code and puts it into the controller thing. So unless you understand what's going on in the raw code, you know, you can't change it.
Right.
You know,
make an adjustment in order to just
it's no way adjustment. I mean, I can go back to that output, and you know, let me go back in there. So I'm gonna have April share my screen. There you go. 6 months from now, 6 months from now, I go back into the pump. I want to make changes. I click on the gear, and look at that. The WYSIWYG is still there. This form that's walking me through the process is still here. I don't have some advanced thing that has code and gibberish in there that was written by, you know, rocket scientist who knows what it says in there. You know, so you know, 80% of the population does not know how to read code. 20% of the population does. And unfortunately, you know, with the hydros, we want everybody to be able to use it.
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, thank you, April, for showing my screen. That's fantastic. And you know, so here's my little beta fish bowl again, and it's still working, doing its thing. The float switch right here, like I said, if I go up, it'll automatically stop everything going, and it will just make this thing beep. There you go. You know, and as you can see right there, the pump has started, but because this is flow, then it stopped the pump in its tracks. As soon as I drop that, you know, give it a second or so, and then this thing will stop beeping, and the pump will begin working again. You can see it right now. There you go. And as soon as you do that, now the pump is going to start. There you go. And then it'll stop as soon as the sensor is above water. Simple. Without writing a single line of code. You know, that's what we want.
Yep.
All right. So again, you know, you're watching Coral View Workshops, and we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. If you like what you've seen, if you like the show, please hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, you know, and you'll be notified right away when our new show starts. So Dave, what do you think? Easy?
I hope it can't get any easier. It's just plug and play. It's very user friendly, intuitive. Maybe some people don't think it's the fanciest looking app, but our idea was to try and make it pretty simple and not overwhelming to people. And that was a lot of thought process we put into it. It's like, yeah, we could get really fancy and ultra graphics, and but then it's need a tutorial on how to use the app. So simplicity is what we were after.
Exactly. We're definitely looking for that as well. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
I love KISS because it just keeps it simple. And then I don't have to remember how to code. I mean, I don't have to spend 15 minutes Googling how to write code on how do I write minimum on time to be able to do it. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. Okay. So I want to say a couple of things that we have, a couple of, announcements that I have to cover. Is like, we're having a Black Friday sale on our outlet store.
It's that time of year. And so this is the first time ever we're do a sale with Hydros. So we're also going to do a sale with our outlet store. And if people aren't familiar with that, there's a lot of open box specials on and shipping, and retailers don't want them, and so we get it back, and it's a way of us getting that out.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have April put that image of the outlet again.
Yeah, everything's
all right
on for the outlet store. You get the full warranty. Everything's been checked, and so it's really a great time. In addition to the already discount on the outlet store, we're doing an additional 10% for Black Friday. So
right. So let's just I want to clarify a couple things that I want to make clear in here. The anything on the outlet store only has 90-day warranty.
Yeah,
that's it. 90 days, not a full warranty. It is a full 90-day warranty. Okay. Yeah. So, and then on the outlet store, you can save up to 60% on some items, not all the items, but some items can go to 60%. All right. And next, and the one thing that we add is new items are added every single day. So we know people are going to be shopping and looking for deals, and we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to buy. So we are not going to put the entire list of all the items at once and let everybody just grab them up. So what we're going to do is every day we're going to release a few products, maybe some repeats, so that people have the opportunity to purchase. Not I hate when everybody just two people. It's almost like buying tickets for. It's like buying tickets for a sporting event. All the scalpers buy it, and then you end up with nothing. So I know we don't want that to happen. We want everybody to have a fair chance at buying something. Okay. The next thing is be on the lookout. Will we have a hydro sale? Will we not have a hydro sale?
Exactly.
You infer what you want from that. Okay. Let me just put it that way. I'm not going to give you details, but you know what? Be on the lookout. It may not happen. Who knows? But then again, we wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't
exactly.
So exactly. That's it. So we might have something. Oh, yeah, exactly. So good.
Let me just say, Carlos, we don't sell hydros direct and most of our products, but tell everybody, please get out, support your local store. They really need our help, and they're in the trenches, so to speak, daily helping people and educating them. And anybody that wants an aquarium, the first place they usually end up is their local fish store, and then get hooked in it on the hobby from there. So hope to give them some business this time of year.
That's right. Okay, so now we want to cover also is we have our Hydros anniversary giveaway.
Yeah.
So we still have 2 Fridays to go.
Yeah. So
give me some details there.
Yeah, so this month, every week, we've been giving away a Control 3 starter pack. So I think you said we got 2 more weeks left. Then so take the opportunity, sign up. Maybe your chance to win. Won't have to wait for Black Friday. So
Exactly. All right. You know what? And I see Connor right there. He has a great comment. Um, uh, Shop local. Most stores will price match.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Don't go to the store and say Carlos said you price match, so you should. No, you know
Right.
what? Most stores price match.
Yeah.
So please just ask. The worst that can happen is they say no, which they're not going to say no.
They're
But
not, they're not going to lose a sale.
the local store is right there, and you have to support the local store because usually we are procrastinators.
Mm-hmm.
We need food that we should have bought a week ago, but we ran out of it today, and I need or yesterday, and I need food for today. If I ship it, it's not going to be here on time, so I got to run to the local fish store and get it. My
Yeah.
pump went bad. By the time I get it, it's 3 days because it's Friday. Well, local fish store is open on Saturdays. Or you know what? It's open on Friday until like 8 o'clock. Let me just drive there and pick it up. There's a convenience that you get from a local fish store. So
Mhm.
please support the local fish stores. That's always a great thing to
But
do.
with all the shipping issues and logistical problems going on, there's no guarantees with any shipping now. So yeah,
Exactly.
utilize your local store for that.
Exactly. So, also, if you have any questions, you like the show again, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the thumbs up. We have this shows every other week, and we cover different topics. Also, if you have any questions during a day that we don't have a show and you can't ask somebody live, just head on over to Facebook Coral View Cares group.
Yeah.
Community Aquarius Research, Education, and Support. It's a great group of folks that are there to help. You know what? We're turning social media into a building community platform. Instead of tearing down, we're building community. So ask any questions. You can ask a question about any product you want, even if you didn't buy it from Coral View. And somebody there is going to answer it. One of us will answer it, or somebody that has experience with the product will answer as well. It's a great resource. If you have any questions about Coral View Hydros, also, you can head on over to forum.coralviewhydros.com. It's a great group of folks there that have been using the hydros for a while, and they're always asking questions. They're always answering questions there. So most likely the question you have has already been asked. If you go there and just do a search, you'll find the answer, which is great. And you can hear my Alcatronic turning on right now. And then the next thing you do is, if you're not, if social media or the forums is not your cup of tea, then just head on over to support.coralview.com and then submit a ticket. And one of our reps is going to be able to help you out. There's certain things that, support is better. If we want certain information from you, private information, we cannot and we will not ask it on Facebook. It's a public platform. We're not going to ask it on the forum because it's a public platform. So there's certain times where, we want you to go to the support portal because we need information from you that may not be something that you want to share with others. So it's not that we're trying to force you to somewhere. It's for your own privacy. There's certain things we just do it in private. Okay. So support.coralview.com. All right. So Dave, good show.
Another good show. I also wanted to add, if anybody has ideas on topics they'd like to hear for a workshop, please let us know. We always, we got plenty of topics we want to cover, but we'd like to hear from our users. Anything they would like to know or see a workshop on, we can add it to the list.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for watching the workshop and tuning in. I'd like to say thank you to Dee from Brooklyn. Dee is right here. Everything Wendy's right here. Connor's here. Mark Kinnery is here. Sawyer. Thank you again, everybody, for stopping by and giving us a little bit of your day, your busy day. So hopefully, you learned something. And thank you for those that shared information and answer questions on the chat. There's we always appreciate that. So on behalf of Carlos and Dave, our host, I want to say thank you to April, our producer, also Jeremy, our graphic designer. You know what? If we don't see you next week is Thanksgiving, Dave.
I know. Happy
So,
Thanksgiving, everybody.
so everybody, yes, exactly. If we don't see you again until, probably until after the Thanksgiving break, then happy Thanksgiving, happy and safe Thanksgiving, and save me some turkey.
I need it.
Good. Good night, everybody.
Good night.